I think there's been an expression in the investment in the food and branded goods section where it reads that the consumer talks lean and eats fat. So that there have been countless efforts on the part of companies to try to come up with products that are healthier marketed as healthier for consumers. And the consumers invariably want Oreo cookies. They don't want a trans fat free cookie called Stackwell, which Nabisco launched with the idea of launching a product that was good for you. Conagra launched something called Healthy Choice, I think it was. And it was a master brand that went across all categories, and it was designed for people who have heart issues and all the rest. You know, it just never worked. They were willing to invest a lot behind it, but ultimately, the consumer products companies have found that investment spend, the burden to try to develop something that would be good for the consumer and then they would stay with it, has been largely unrewarded. So that's been an experience I've seen over time. I felt, for instance, when Kindle announced that they wanted to go directly after the iPad with the Razor or the Fire or something, a full complement of a tablet, that they were probably well advised not to go down that path, because there seemed to me to be absolutely no way that they could out-deliver a consumer value off of a tablet versus the kind of sophistication that Apple could deliver, and also the network effect that comes from being an Apple iPad versus your Mac versus your iPhone versus that integrated, seamless interconnection. I would have thought that they were probably spending money with the capacity to suffer, because Jeff Bezos has a following that doesn't really seem to value reported profits as much as the ability to grow category strength. I just would have thought that that's one that he probably would have been wise to just stay away from. You know, by contrast, even more forcefully, when Barnes and Noble, controlled by Riggio, thought it'd be a good idea to go with the Nook after the Kindle itself, I would have thought that was a pretty poor choice of how to spend money. Even though the family that backed Barnes and Noble thought we can afford the income statement burden because no one's going to take out our company, and no activist can come and force me to do anything because I control it, so we would have thought. It doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. You have the capacity to suffer, but it doesn't mean that you're supposed to suffer. And that's really, it reminds me of an expression that Buffett has, which is, if something's not worth doing at all, it's not worth doing right. So what's incumbent upon management is to choose wisely to begin with, and then go about investing deeply. But just to invest deeply because you don't have to worry about the market for corporate control, doesn't assure that you'll come up with a good outcome. And I would have thought that was the case. Now, along the way, Barnes & Noble was able to sell off 15% of the Nook to Pearson for $900 million, and another X percent of the Nook as a standalone project to Microsoft for $1 billion. And so the effort was in part shared, but ultimately I would have thought misdirected in the first place. But taking Jack Daniels around the world, I think that effort is worth doing at all. And I think it's worth doing well. And to do it well, you have to lose money, and you have to have the capacity to suffer.